What's up, everybody? It's your boy Calvonix, and today I just want to talk about being yourself. And I just have a little story to tell. Some of you may know already. I was born with cerebral palsy, so I was born with a physical disability. Basically, it just means that I walk with crutches and I roll around in a wheelchair. But I've always been blessed. Thankfully, I've been blessed to have and grow up in a family that always treated me for me. And, I didn't really, truthfully, especially in my younger days, I didn't really even notice I had a disability because it was just the norm in my house. It's just who I was. And so my parents loved me. They showered me with love. That's why I was really confused when eventually I got to kindergarten. And I remember on my first day of school, walking with my grandma to school, and I would just feel all these eyes on me. It felt like it burned, like I just felt all these eyes on me, like I was being watched and observed. And I remember hearing things like, hearing whispers from the kids, and they would be like, why is he on those sticks? And then I'd hear another kid go like, his legs must be broken. Or another kid would be like, oh, he must have gotten in a car accident. And, they would make up their own conclusions. And I just remember just feeling really lost and feeling like I didn't belong. And I would cry, especially in my early days in elementary, just cry, longing for my parents or my grandma and wanting to go home. Just because I just felt so isolated and uncomfortable because I felt for the first time that I was different because of my disability. Unfortunately, I feel like when you're as young as, you are in elementary school, whether it's kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and I think this can extend to just adulthood. If you don't understand something, sometimes an easy way out, instead of trying to understand that thing, so in this case, a physical disability, the easy way out would be just to laugh and bully that person that you don't understand. And so unfortunately, through the majority of my elementary school days, I was bullied. On the worst days, I was kicked down on the gravel, I was whipped with skipping ropes, I was called things like cripple or useless, and I was told that my parents don't really love me and one day they're gonna give me away because of my physical disability. And I remember coming home to my mom one day crying. This was in grade 6 or 7, and I remember saying to my Mom, I don't want this disability. Please, have God take it away. Please, let life take it away. I don't want this. I hate myself. I don't want this anymore. And reflecting on that now, I can't imagine what that must feel like from my mom's perspective, hearing her kid just say that he hates himself and he hates his disability, and she can't take away my disability. So that must hurt. Like she must have felt so helpless in that moment. But she didn't miss a beat. I remember she took me in her arms and she said, legitimately, it feels like a fucking movie, but she said, Calvin, I wasn't Calvonix yet. So she said, Calvin, I feel like you have this disability for a reason, and one day you are going to use it to help people. And I remember, even as young as I was, I remember thinking like, that's such a mom response. Okay, mom. Okay there. But it wasn't until a couple weeks later, I heard the real Slim Shady for the first time. And something went off. And I remember thinking, holy shit. I was probably too young to be listening to Eminem at that point. I remember all the parents were like, don't listen to Eminem because he's a bad influence. He's going to be a bad influence on our kids, and our kids are going to be bad people because of Eminem because he swears too much. I used to hear all that shit. But I realized, even as young as I was, I really connected with how Eminem took his struggles, whether it was growing up in a trailer park or not having enough money to feed his child or living in poverty, and he put all that struggle, that personal shit, into words. He turned it into words. He made those words rhyme. He put it to a beat, and now people love him for it and pay him for it. And I was like, you can do that? This is possible? So naturally, right away, I wanted to rap. And I went to the dollar store, because that's where all rap careers start, at the dollar store. 50 Cent went there twice. Dad joke. Shut the fuck up. And I bought my first journal, and I remember I started to write my raps, my little raps. And yeah, I was whack at the time. I wasn't great. But I remember, even as young as I was, I remember feeling like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna need to write from my perspective and really write through my eyes and my experience. And growing up with a disability, that's what I was gonna use as my anchor to get into the music game and to start making rap music. And I tell you this long-winded fucking story all to say, as cliche as it is, be yourself, no matter what art form it is. I'm not saying you should all become rappers and overcome your struggle through rap like I did, but I found inspiration through Eminem, and I found my outlet to be me. And I started performing at pep rallies, and I was the guy that if a teacher asked me a question, I would find a way to rap the answer. And I became so everybody knew me as the guy that rapped, that I ended up starting to get my own voice, and that became my voice. And so anybody out there who wants to, whether it's make music, make videos, whatever the fuck it is, if you want to yell into a pillow, if you want to play basketball, any sort of passion, you gotta be yourself. Because I truly feel like no matter what art it is, no matter what you're doing, people are looking for that authentic genuineness. They want to feel like what they're listening to, what they're taking in, is real. I believe, yes, of course, I have songs that are fun and dumb, and not every song that I've done is like me 100%. And even I feel like music is because it's a form of entertainment, I feel like Calvonics, the persona of Calvonics, is kind of like a cinematic, romanticized, quote unquote, stronger version of the real me. I definitely feel that. But I think that if your art is coming from a real place, that's where people connect, and that's what people are looking for. And so I really encourage anybody out there who wants to make music or wants to make art to really be yourself. It's cliche as fuck, but it's true. Anyways, I've been rambling on, so I'm going to end it there. But hopefully that gives you something to think about. Please, if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe. It's your boy Calvonics. Check out my latest album, Ego, on all streaming platforms now. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.